Streamers constantly say to me, LJ, I'm boring. I don't know what to talk about. I'm not engaging and I'm certainly not funny. I should just give up on becoming a streamer. And I always reply the exact same way. You're not boring, you're just a beginner and you clearly lack confidence. And the best part is that all of those problems you've just addressed are so easy to fix. So let's do that today. The major mindset that causes streamers to fail is thinking they have nothing to talk about and that they can't be entertaining. The core concept of today's video is going to show you just how much you do in your day-to-day that you can turn into entertaining content, and I'm going to give you examples such as Bill Burr, Ludwig, and some of my own ones. More important than that though, I do have time codes linked down in the description as well, so if you want to, you can skip to the very final tip in this entire video, which is the most important one as well. It has zero downsides, you cannot fail at it, and if you actually follow through on that final tip, you'll become so much more engaging, so much more confident in yourself, and generally a better presenter in a matter of days. Speaking of being engaging, last time I asked you guys to like, comment, and subscribe to a video to help me with the algorithm, and it really worked. So I gotta throw it out there again. Liking this video and commenting really helps us out, and subscribing is free. Let's first establish a major issue that might be causing you to create boring content and how you might actually be the reason and the cause for it. This is easily fixed, but if we don't fix it, there is nothing in the world that can help you out when you're starting. You have to address this first problem. If your stream is going to go for 3 hours, then you need to produce 3 hours of content. It's pretty simple, right? But what if I said to you, no, you need to produce 3 hours of engaging and entertaining content? Well, that becomes much more difficult. And it becomes even more difficult when you think about the fact that most of you guys aren't streaming for just 3 hours. A lot of you are streaming for 5 hours a session. Then we add on the fact that a lot of you guys are streaming 5 days or more a week. 5 days or more a week with 5 hours or more every single stream. That is a lot of content to produce. When you're starting out, if you are streaming that much, you might be setting yourself up to produce boring content because you just can't fill so much time in your day. So my actionable tip straight out the gate, I recommend doing 3 to 4 days a week and doing 3 to 4 hours per stream. Don't push yourself any further than that or else it becomes too much. The other problem is when you're not live, you probably spend a lot of time thinking about streaming. What you're going to play next, when you're going to go live, what you're going to do to try stand out, or you're just spending your time watching way too many streaming videos. Subscribe, by the way. And that is amazing that you're so passionate about streaming. But if you spend all of your time so focused on only streaming, well, then you lose something that is so important. You lose relatability and you lose stories. Essentially, by spending so much time focused on streaming, you become a less rounded person. If you're struggling to find things to talk about, then take a step back and look at your day-to-day first. Do you stay up late playing video games? Maybe you're watching TV. Are you a morning person or a night person? When you turn off the lights because you're going to sleep, do you have to sprint to your bed and quickly dive under the covers? Because we all know the axe-wielding murderer can't get you as long as you're under those sheets. What chores have you done this week? Which ones are fun to do and which ones suck? Actually, this one might be too straightforward. It's not very open-ended because we can all agree that doing the dishes is the best chore, tied with making the bed. And then on the complete opposite side, the worst ones are sweeping and vacuuming. That's just a fact. Do you know why the meme, only 90s kids remember this, became so massive? It is because it is so relatable to a huge demographic and it acknowledges people's existence. It makes them feel like they're a part of a group. They see the meme and they go, oh my God, that is totally me. And this is the same for your day to day. People can relate to it. Every example I just gave you is something that I've used in my stream to create entertaining content and to engage chatters to be more active. But how does it become entertaining content? If I just said, I did the dishes today, well, that's not entertaining, and it's barely even an observation. When you're a beginner, I want you to start by thinking about opinions or observations that everyone can relate to on some level. It can either be heavily agreed upon, but at the same time, you're better off being in the minority because it sparks better conversation. So rather than saying, I did the dishes today, you'd say, man, I was doing the dishes today, and I swear, anyone who doesn't agree that doing the dishes is the best chore is an absolute sucker. This sparks conversation because people go, what? Doing the dishes sucks. You touch random squishy things in the water, and I'm not a sucker for disliking that. And then they reply in chat defending their view. But at the same time, you don't need the chat reply. It's easier when starting out to have someone to bounce off. Next, you double down and give more details. You get more specific and become more visual, and it generally becomes more engaging. For example, you're absolutely wrong. I'm standing there this morning doing my dishes. I'm in my underwear and one wet sock that I used to clean up some coffee that I spilled. We've all been there. The birds are singing outside as I scrub some cheese off a frying pan, and I'm blissful. I'm more zen than Buddhist monks will ever even know, because I know for a fact that my wife, who's fed into the same anti-dishes propaganda the rest of you sheeple have fallen for, that she's not only going to wash and hang out my underwear, but she's going to be happy that she gets to do that rather than do the dishes. Who really has the worst chore? Me, who's scrubbing cheese off a frying pan, or my wife, who's scrubbing cheese off my underwear? You establish a setting with details that people can understand, relate to, or at least recognize. You escalate it at absurdity, and then you subvert expectations with a punchline. It becomes a story with a payoff. I quickly wrote that example for this video because it has a clear structure and it shows you how a mundane task can be turned into something exaggerated and entertaining. It isn't perfect, but it works for the example. And I really want to point out the subversion of expectations at the end. Everyone is thinking it's about chores. They're not expecting to hear someone talk about crusty, cheesy underwear. Sometimes the best thing you can do is subvert expectations. For example, like this. Guess what I'm eating right now? One of your faves, Rach. You're eating dick. Good for you. A lot of creators just forget about punchlines. They'll tell a whole story and there's no payoff at the end. There's no fun moment, cute moment. There's no wholesome moment. There's just no reason they told the story. There's no payoff. And it leaves you feeling blue-balled and like they were just trying to fill dead air rather than trying to keep you entertained. See, I'm not an expert. I'm still learning how to do all this. But if you look at professional comedians like Bill Burr, or if we're talking about streamers, you can look at someone like Ludwig, because at these people's core, they are professional storytellers. The reason I reference Ludwig is because he follows this process with almost every single story he tells and with almost every single joke he tells. In the example we're about to watch, he doesn't need to obviously engage his chat to become active and get them riled up. He just needs to tell a funny story. And I think it's a really good example of how you can do that.
Somebody came up to me and asked for a picture in Las Vegas. They walk up to me. I'm minding my own business, playing craps. You know how I do. Come on, shooters, get a yo. Guy comes up to me. Hey, you're Hey, you're Ludwig. Yeah, what's up? You want a picture or something? No, I actually don't watch you at all, ever. I'm not even making this up. He literally said that.
Can you see how he took a story about being recognized in public and set up not one, but 5 jokes that all made him more relatable and more engaging to his audience? Trying to act cool at the crabs table, redoing the other guy's entrance to make him shorter than him, adding a deeper voice, pausing mid-conversation to throw dice, and finally, the punchline where we find out the guy doesn't even watch him. This most likely isn't how the story actually goes. He probably didn't put on a deeper voice, and he probably didn't pause mid-conversation to throw his dice. But the exaggeration and the willingness to joke about his own shortcomings makes the payoff perfect for his audience, while also making him so much more relatable and so much more down to earth. And I really think this is one of the reasons why Ludwig is one of the greatest creators on the internet right now. Whether his content is your cup of tea or not doesn't really matter, because I think if you break down creators like Ludwig or comedians like Bill Burr, you can learn a lot about storytelling and being engaging. That is just a fact. Not everybody is a natural born storyteller, and that's fine. I have a tip coming up soon that'll help you practice these skills, become more confident, and become way more engaging very easily. But first, let's talk a little bit about other places you can draw inspiration from for stories and for content. What hobbies and interests do you have, and can you share those with your viewers? Most people on Twitch play video games, so that is a really good place to start. What games are coming out? What cliches do you hate? What game is severely underrated, or what game is severely overrated? I once joined a stream and listened to a guy rant about how much he hated Red Dead Redemption 2 for 2 hours. I couldn't look away. The lunatic just kept going. And it worked. Everyone was yelling at him in chat. Everyone was telling him he was wrong. I don't even know if he was wrong at this point. It was just so engaging to listen to. You can talk about TV shows, anime, books, documentaries, games, whatever it is. A lot of pop culture is beloved and will always be trending. And if you're engaging in it, then you can engage others in conversation about it. As I said earlier, you should probably have some hobbies outside of streaming. Maybe you like to cook, photography, board games, juggling. Maybe you're a rock climber. Actually, not the last one. If you're a rock climber, you'd probably have no trouble talking for hours, because every rock climber I've ever met, all they do is talk about rock climbing. You don't even have to draw inspiration only from things that are happening in your day-to-day. You can take inspiration from things that happened in the past as well. School and work stories are some of the most relatable stories that you can possibly tell. Everyone went to school and everyone knows that one kid that said, you know, if the teacher's not here in 15 minutes, then we can legally leave. And there are so many other things that we can all relate to. For example, everyone has had terrible bosses and everyone has had terrible jobs. Have you ever traveled overseas? Have you ever taken a road trip? Have you ever peed in a bottle because you're trying to avoid missing your League of Legends Q pop? These are staple life experiences that every single human on the planet has done. They are all relatable and you can use them as bases to create observations and entertaining content. So what I want you to do is get a notebook, get a pen, and spend some time thinking about stories from school, stories from work, and generally things that have happened to you that you think are relatable to people. I think most people don't realize that everything I've talked about so far is a skill that you can practice at and become better at. But how do you do that? Well, you become better at it the same way you become better at doing anything, just by doing it. But I know you're gonna say streaming is nerve-wracking. You might get teased by your friends, you might look dumb, and you might fail. And there are two ways I can help you with that. The first is by saying that, yeah, you might fail and you might look dumb, but you're gonna be way more upset with yourself if you don't at least try to become better at this thing you wanna do. And the second thing that'll help you with this might be the most important and most valuable tip I will ever give you on this channel. If you wanna have zero fear of failing and zero fear of looking dumb while you practice, then all you need to do is get your phone or sit down at your webcam and hit record. Don't prepare anything, don't come up with notes, and then spend 10 minutes recording yourself on camera, talking and trying to be entertaining and engaging. When those 10 minutes is up, stop recording and do not watch it back. Put it aside, put it away. The next day, I want you to sit down and I want you to watch back the whole 10 minutes. Don't have anything playing in the background. Don't be distracted. Just watch your 10-minute clip. The moment that 10-minute clip is done, hit record and start recording another 10 minutes. Try and be entertaining and try and be engaging. Stop after 10 minutes, don't watch it back. Go to the next day, rinse and repeat this process daily. Not only will you notice that you become an incredibly confident speaker if you actually work to improve as you go, but you'll also notice it becomes much easier to fill those 10 minutes. And this is the most crucial part. Because if you can't fill 10 minutes without a chat helping you, without other engagement, without other notes, then you're not going to be able to fill 3 to 5 hours of stream without a chat. And if you can't do this without a chat, if you can't be entertaining without a chat to bounce off, well, then you can't be entertaining with a chat. That's just a fact. This has been about 2,100 words to talk about how you can draw from life experiences to create entertaining content. But I really think a big takeaway was something I said right at the start, where I talked about creating a life balance with streaming. I see you guys commenting about how you missed a friend's birthday party to maintain a consistent schedule, how you no longer have time to enjoy the things you want to do because you spend all of it working on streams. You're not spending time with your family and your loved ones. But it is so important you keep yourself open to these experiences and you keep this balance intact. Not only because, yes, it'll give you stories and content to talk about while you're live, but it will also make sure that you're not feeling drained and dead while you're live. If you don't have this balance, you will start hating streaming. And if you hate your stream, nobody else is going to enjoy it. Well, that was 2,300 words to essentially tell you guys to go touch grass. So if you watched to this point, comment down below, I touch grass. And sorry about the Ludwig clickbait in the thumbnail. I'm trying out some new YouTube techniques.